Hey, welcome back to another edition of the Score Computer, brought to you by Lone Star Gridiron, the authority on Texas high school football. I'm your host of Smash, Justin Simmons. Now, the computer during the playoffs hasn't gone exactly the way I have originally planned. During the regular season we did great, but the playoffs have been hit or miss. But I have to say, this past week, the computer really impressed me, just like the Dallas Cowboys did on Monday night. Why don't we take a look at the results for the quarterfinal round? So you were wondering why I was impressed? Well, take a look at that. 9-1 last week, making it 24-12 for the playoffs. A very cool 47-19 overall. The one team that was able to beat the computer, Richmond George Ranch. As you can see, they were able to pull off the victory against Temple. It was an excellent week for the Score Computer during the quarterfinal round. This week I'm hoping for more of the same. We enter the semifinal. That means that we're just one game away from the state title game. Just like last week, I got a full 10-game slate for you, everything from 2A to 6A and everything in between. So let's take a look at who the computer thinks is going to be moving on to the state title game. Alright folks, we will start things off in 2A Division 2, and I'm going to apologize in advance just in case I mispronounce anybody's hometown here. This game will be played between the Bremen Tigers and the Munster Hornets. Now the Tigers, as you can see, perfect record, 14-0. They have just been destroying people throughout the playoffs. Munster doing a really great job to get to this point. It's number 1 against number 8. But the Tigers have just been so dominant this season, the computer thinks that they'll roll in this one 42-28. Next up in 2A Division 1, this game being played in Georgetown ISD Stadium at Birkelback Field. It will be the Lovelady Lions taking on the vsfugio Bobcats in a matchup between number 12 and number 7. Last week, Lovelady fell behind early to Shelby Field. They were able to shut them down for the final 3 quarters. Vsfugio having to come back from behind to beat number 1 Shiner. The computer really likes the way that the Bobcats looked in that contest and has them winning this one 35-19. We move up to 3A Division 2, and this one's going to be a very tight clash in Cypress, Texas at the Berry Center. It will be Franklin, the Lions, taking on those Brahmas of East Bernard. Number 2 against number 8. The Lions undefeated this season, but East Bernard, their defense has looked fantastic throughout the playoffs. Again, this is one of those games that can go either way, but the computer had to pick a winner. It likes the Lions by 1, 34-33. Next up, we move up to 3A Division 1. This game going to be played at the Gopher Bowl in Grand Prairie. It will be LSG's number 1 ranked team, the Bronx Eagles, taking on the number 4 ranked Mineola orange wearing Yellow Jackets. There's a story behind that. Yellow Jackets get really mad, they turn orange. Mineola has a dynamic duel in quarterback Jeremiah Crawford and running back Chance Perkins. Their offense, good. They got to the state title game last year, looking to get back this year. However, Brock's defense has been simply electric. They were up 21-3 last week and really never looked back. The offense and the defense for the Eagles working in complete harmony. The computer really likes the Eagles to spoil the Yellow Jackets' chances of making a return to the state title game 40-21. Next up, 4A Division 2, and this one, I'm not saying it's going to be an upset, but there might be one brewing. This game being played in Spring Branch at Tolley Stadium. It'll be one of those classic teams, West OrangeStark, the Mustangs, ranked in at number 8, going against the only turkey that isn't dead after Thanksgiving, the Cuero Gobblers. Now the Gobblers have done it with defense. Heck, they were able to shut out Simmons last week and won that game 28-0. But West OrangeStark, they got a good defense of their own. They won their contest 42-3, and they haven't given up more than 15 points in a game throughout the playoffs. The computer really likes the favorite in this game, 35-14. But again, folks, don't doubt the Gobblers out of this contest. That way that they were able to handle Sinton, mighty impressive when it came to the eye test. Moving on. 4A Division 1 action and another possible tight contest, or at least that's what the computer thinks, as this game will be played at Garland Jamison Stadium. The undefeated Waco La Vega Pirates going against the 11-3 Carthage Bulldogs. Number 6 against number 9. Now, Waco La Vega has been able to do it all throughout the playoffs. They've won pretty, they've won ugly, but they have always won their defense extremely dangerous. However, for Carthage, their offense is very potent, winning last week 56-40. They were able to put points up throughout the whole playoffs. The computer respects both teams very much, but it has the Pirates getting to the state title game, eking out this victory 28-26. At this juncture, folks, every game on the docket is going to be a good one in the state semifinal. As we move on to Class 5A Division 2, in this one, it has the making of fireworks. I wish I could be there to see it. Missouri City Ridge Point, a school that has only been around since 2012, taking on that powerhouse from right here in Central Texas, the number 2 ranked Cedar Park Timberwolves. Now, the Black Rain defense has been raining nothing but thunder and lightning all over unsuspecting offenses. But that doesn't just tell the whole story. That is a complete team that is on the field for the Timberwolves. Now, don't take anything away from Ridge Point. They were able to beat Crosby, who many thought was the best team in 5A. And then they were able to pull out that overtime victory last week, 36-35. But Cedar Park makes teams look foolish for their mistakes. And the computer really, really likes the Timberwolves in this one to get back to the state title game, 42-28. Remember, they still have that heartbreak from last season against Ennis. They are looking for revenge. Well, when you take a look at that, look who is joining Big Brother at Energy Stadium in Houston, Texas this week. It will also be Little Brother, as Vista Ridge will be taking on Richmond George Ranch, the only team that was able to beat the odds against the computer this past week. Now, Vista Ridge was able to exercise the demons against 25 5A foe last week in Vandergrift. Matt Snow led the way, 2 touchdowns in the air, 1 on the ground. However, George Ranch just looked so good against Temple, and Temple was a very good team. The Longhorns can do it both, offensively and defensively. The Rangers have had a really nice run, but the computer sees the Longhorns moving on to the state title game, 42-28. All right, folks, we're in the home stretch of this episode of the Score Computer. These next 2 games really don't need much of an introduction, but I'm going to give it to you anyways. Class 6A, Division 2 action being played in the Alamo City at Alamo Stadium. The irresistible force against the immovable object, as both these undefeated Titans clash in the Alamo City. Katie going against Sybil of Steel, number 1 against number 4. I might actually make the drive to go see this one live. Now, Katie, very lucky to be playing in the playoffs still after that whole fiasco with the ineligible player. Sybil of Steel doing what it's done all season, just taking care of business last week in the playoffs. The computer really likes the Tigers to get to the state final game, though. 28-15 is what it's predicting. Class 6A Division 1, last, certainly not least, a fantastic matchup here between the Allen Eagles and the Austin Westlake Chaparrals. Now, the Chaparrals usually known for their offense, like I said last week, but this week it was a tandem of their offense plus their defense. Sam Ellinger, now the career leading passer in Chaparral history, passing professional football player Nick Foles. As the Allen Eagles, well, they are the Allen Eagles, the number 1 team according to LSG, a number 1 team in the entire state of Texas, no matter who you basically talk to, and definitely one of the top 5 teams in the entire nation. This game going to be played at a very fitting venue at McLean Stadium in Baylor. Computer thinks we're going to be treated to a gem of a game, but it likes the Eagles to come away with this one, and just barely, 38-34. Of course, we want to know what you think. Why don't you go ahead and leave a comment on the voice line, 713-568-6361. Have you registered for the Brotherhood of Texas High School Football yet? Do you even know what I'm talking about? Look, take a look on LoneStarGridiron.com. It's a really cool thing. I'm registered, as a bunch of other guys are. I myself, Donna Redskin, offense, 2001 and 2002 varsity years. Also, don't forget you can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at @TheSmashSimmons. And I have one more special treat for you guys before I leave you this week. Right there. Yes, it is the Class 1A, aka 6-man state finals this coming week. And I already ran the simulations for you. Why don't we take a closer look? So in Division 2 is Follett versus Richland Springs. Richland Springs picked to win this game 66-42. And then Crowell getting back, looking for its 3rd consecutive state title, going against Abbott. Abbott actually having the better year this year, but Crowell just amazing in the playoffs. The computer likes them to win this contest 76-48. Well folks, that's the show for this week. I want to thank you again for tuning in with us here on the Score Computer, brought to you by Lone Star Gridiron, the authority on Texas high school football. Next week, it's going to be our final show. It is the state title game next week. All of them going to be played at Energy. I am really looking forward to it. I will have all 10 games for you here on the Score Computer, and we're going to try to predict who's going to take it home this coming year. So again, if you're traveling to the games this week, that means that your team is still in it. Congratulations. You are one step away from the state title game. Be safe on your travels. And as always, Texas forever. See you next week.